Well, hello again, it's Trudy here from HotPatterns with a little kind of look-see, but mainly a tutorial for one of our fabulous patterns. This is the Fast and Fabulous Tailored Trackpants, and it really is exactly what it says on the envelope. It's fast, as in it's very, very quick to make. It's fabulous because it's fabulous, and it has a tailored look to it, even though it's a nice soft track pant. It's a soft track pant because you've got this really cool kind of elasticated waist, which makes it very, very comfy, but it's not one of those kind of baggy sweatpant things. It's actually quite a trim pant, and the tailored part is really, that's really echoed with this cuff. So the whole point of these is that you get a very, very comfy pant that you can legitimately wear to the office. Oh yes, you could, if that's what you wanted to do. The key with these is you've really got to slow it down and take your time, because there's very, very little to do on it, so you may as well do it beautifully. And you really do need to use a very fluid and drapey fabric. This one is a polyester crepe. It's not particularly heavy. I wouldn't, for instance, recommend that you did this in something like a denim, although if you have a really washed and floppy chambray, that would probably work. So think of kind of heavy blouse weight, floppy skirt or pant weight. That's the kind of thing you want to be doing. You can, of course, make this in a knit. You could make it in a heavy t-shirting or a classic sweatshirting, and you'll still get a really, really good pant. So yeah, that's it. This is a really nice pant, very, very easy to make, very good for beginners. Suits kind of everyone, sorry, but it does. One of the reasons we choose styles like this is because we try them on 3 or 4 different body types, you know, very slim, very curvy, tall, thin, and just see what happens. And this one works on everyone. So have a look at the tutorial and then go and make one. Well, let's begin with showing you the pieces that we're going to use. And as you can see, there's not that many of them. This is the back pant piece. That's obviously the crotch curve. That's the waistband, the waist edge. Pocket, and this is the front with the front crotch curve. You can see they're quite different. And that's the waistband. That's pretty much it. That's all you've got. Obviously you've got double these pieces. You don't want to just make one leg of the trouser, that would look ridiculous. But you can see that you haven't got lots of bits and pieces because there's no fly, there's no proper waistband. It's all very, very easy. So now I'm going to show you how I put them together. But before I do, let me just quickly show you another couple of things that are actually quite important. The first thing is that you can see I've got some matching, same fabric, strips here. And I've made this edge is the selvage edge or the finished edge of the fabric, and this I've just overlocked along the edge. If you don't have an overlock, you can use a zigzag for it. I've cut it about ½ an inch thick, and I'm going to use this as tape to stabilise this seam, the crotch seam here. Because if you don't do that, if you don't sew this while you're sewing the seam, you put this in while you're sewing the seam, the whole thing is going to bend out of shape, it's going to distort, and you're going to get a baggy bottom. Now, I think we can all agree that baggy bottoms, not where we want to be. And the other thing to show you is this. This is the elastic we're going to be using. This is, I want to say it's 7/8 of an inch, but I could be wrong. That's not really important. What's important is how soft it is. You can see it's got huge amounts of recovery, stretch and recovery on it, and it's really soft. This is a cotton swimwear elastic, which I've got, I think, from So Sassy Fabrics, but I'm pretty sure you can get it from most crafts places or sewing places. The key is you want soft elastic. Look for lingerie elastic, look for pajama elastic, look for swimsuit. That's the kind of stuff you want, because you want to cut it so it's comfortably sitting on your waist, not cutting in, but also not kind of sagging and bagging, because the whole point of these is they need to sit at the natural waist. So those are your 2 little tricks. Your tape that you've made from your own fabric. If you wish, you can always just buy tape, and your soft elastic, and of course a trusty large safety pin, because I'm going to use that to thread this through the waistband. So now we're putting together the pant. Here's what we're going to do, and here's what I've done. I have finished my edges, my outer side seam and my crotch curve. I haven't finished the top edges here. Don't need to do that just yet. If you're going to be doing that with an overlock or a serger, you can do that before you start. If you're not, if you're using zigzag stitch to finish off, you can do that before you start. But the truth is you don't really have to. With a fabric like this crepe, I mean, it's woven, but it's not like really frayish, so it should be okay. So what I'm going to start with is this. I'm going to attach the pocket bags to the side seams like this. And you will notice, or if you're eagle-eyed you will, that the top edge of the pocket bag is going to be sealed into the waist like that. It's a really good trick to do, even if you're using a pattern that doesn't have this, because it stops them flapping around inside the pant, which is kind of key. So I'm going to sew these on to all 4 pieces, the 2 front pant pieces, the 2 back pant pieces, and I'm going to show you how I understitch them to keep them where they should be. So now I have attached my pocket bags to the side seams of my pants. This is one of the pants backs. And that's kind of what it looks like when it's done. I'm going to come up very, very close to the camera in a moment and show you how I understitch it. What understitching means basically is I'm pushing all the seam allowances out as far as the side seam will go, and I'm stitching through all the thicknesses there. And what that does is it kind of anchors it, it kind of secures it, stops the seam allowances kind of misbehaving and flopping around. So now I'm going to come in and show you it really tight. So that's the understitching there. You see there's the seam on the pants, there's the seam on the pocket. It's over on the pocket side through all the thicknesses. So now that we've put all our pocket bags on our side seams, it's time to join the 2 back pants pieces together and the 2 front pants pieces together along the crotch seams. Once you've done that, you're kind of about a third of the way there. So this is really important to do, and to do it properly. Remember the tape I told you about? Don't forget you can buy tape, kind of 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 inch wide, sort of twill tape, lightweight twill tape, very easily. But I've made this from a piece of fabric, cut along the selvage and finished the edge. And I'm pinning it towards the seam. I'm going to come up very closely and show you in a moment. But what I'll be doing is sewing all the way through here and through the actual tape. Give me a moment to sew a little piece of this. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. Now this is me showing you it quite close up. You can see that we've got here this tape. There's the edge of the tape there, and you can see the stitching through it. And so the tape is not quite to the cut edge, but it's also tucked in amongst the seaming like that. And I wish, once again, I could say to you, oh yes, I chose a slightly paler lilac thread so you could see it against the purple. That would be a lie. Of course, once again, I'm too lazy to go and get the copper thread, but we don't care because it's all going to work out fine. So now I have done front and back crotch curves, and so we've got the prepared front, ta-da, and the corresponding prepared back. And because I'm overlocking the edges, this is the point at which I overlock the inner leg seam like this, just so it gives a cleaner finish around the crotch area. I won't make any jokes at all of any sort. And now we're going to basically join the front to the back. We're going to do it on the outside edge, on the side seam edge, and that's because we have pockets. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to start at the top here. We're going to go round this curve, and we're going to come up, and we're going to meet that seam, the seam that joins the pocket bag to the side seam. And then we're going to lift our foot, pivot, and then sew all the way down to the bottom. That's it. When you've done that, you're going to cut a little notch in. When I've done it, I'm going to show you what it looks like, a little notch, so that the seams can open here and they can be pressed to the front on this side. So we're going to do side seams first. Got to be side seams first. I will show you why in a moment. So now I've done the side seams, and you can see that I've pressed them nice and flat. And the reason you do the outside seams first is so you can actually lay your pants leg flat like this and press the seam allowance open to give you a really nice finish. When you're having a simple pant like this, one of the main things you see is your side seam when you're kind of walking and moving around in it. So you want it nice and flat, and it is, and it also allows me to do the pocket. Here is our front pocket. Ooh, nice. I'm going to come up in a minute and show you why we put a little slit, a little notch cut out of the seam at the bottom of the pocket. But I'm going to, before I do that, I'm going to baste the top of this. This is the pocket at the top. You baste it through all the thicknesses along the top edge of the waist, and that is because when we actually complete the pant, you're going to put the waistband on, and it's going to be sealed all into that top edge like that. So now let me show you the little notch I've cut, and you'll see why I've done it. Alright, this here is the notch area that I've slit into the seam. You can see it there. What happens is, there is the seam, it's laying flat together. You slit into it diagonally like this, from the base there up diagonally to your stitch line. That's where you stop, and then you can press your pant leg seam open, whereas this bit, the pocket part here, goes all the way this way. Absolutely perfect. So now you can see the pants are almost put together. There's our pockets on the inside, looking rather lovely. Now all we've got to do to complete the main body of the pants is to join the inside leg seam. So that's the back to the front on the inside leg. Now when I do this, I normally start at the crotch seam here in the middle, and I sew from the crotch seam down the leg there, and then from the crotch seam down the leg there. Because if you don't, I have found, especially in these more fluid fabrics, if you start at the bottom of one leg and go all the way around here, you sometimes get that on the leg. And while that's kind of groovy on the dance floor, not in your pants, that's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to do the one seam all the way around here, and then we're going to go on to the waistband. And the waistband is the most complex part of this whole pattern, and I'm doing kind of cheesy air quotes because even though it's the most complex part of this pattern, it's not a tricky thing to do. This is such an easy pattern, the waistband is going to be the most complex. All it is really an elasticated casing, but it's just got 3 rows of elastic, that's all. Nothing too spectacular and difficult there, but I'll do that next. But first I'm going to do the inside leg seam, press it open, and we're ready for the waistband. Okay, so now the body of the pants is made up. You can see pants looking rather good, looking very purple, has to be said. And these, of course, have got quite a trim leg. You can see the leg shape there. That's because they really are kind of that tailored look. And if you wanted to make these in a fabric that isn't a woven, i.e. a knit, not a felted fabric, but a knit like sweatshirting or a heavy t-shirting, do please go ahead, they'll look fantastic. The only thing I would say is when you get to the bottom where we're going to do a turn up or a cuff, you wouldn't do that in a knit, you'd probably just roll them like that and you'd have a much more kind of casual pant, but it'll work really, really well. So now we've got the body of the pant done, we are almost done, and we need to do the waistband. Now the waistband is done like a standard joined on waistband casing, and in the pattern instructions you'll see me say that you take the long strip and you join the short ends to make a loop. This is what I mean. That's what I mean. You get a loop. There's the short ends joined. When you've done that, you're going to halve it like this. You've got a doubled loop. This top edge here, the folded edge, that's the top edge of your waistband, that's the edge there that gets joined to the pants. That's it, easy peasy. Now I'm going to show you how, I'm going to stitch a couple of lines of the stitching and show you how we do the elastic casing to get the elastic in. Okay, so I went off and did my stitching on my waistband. I didn't show you it because it's kind of boring, it's just straight seams, but I will show you the result because that's really important. Don't forget we've got our loop, our waistband is in a loop, and our folded edge, our top edge, that's going to sit at the top, at the waistband top there. So at the centre back seam, that's the seam where the loop joins. This is where we start and finish our stitching. Now, can you see that? Can you see that, Jeremy?
Not sure.
I'm going to come in a moment and really give you a good close up on it. It starts and it stops about 1 inch either side of the centre back seam. And when I thread the elastic through, you'll look at it and you go, oh, that's why, obviously. But until I do it could look a bit weird. So let me bring this up close and show you right now. This is what I mean. It's kind of 1 inch either side of the seam. That's where you start and that's where you stop. Okay, so now you've seen the waistband and it's got the 3 lines of stitching. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to put the elastic in it. Here is the elastic. Remember I showed you that earlier? Nice and soft elastic. And here is it on the end of a safety pin, big safety pin. People often use bodkins, which is like a big blunt needle to thread things through. I prefer a safety pin. You've got a bit more control over it. Now the question is, how big do you cut the elastic? And the answer is, it depends. This is the answer for so many questions in life and in sewing, so many of them. What you need to do with your elastic before you start is you need to wind it around your waist, where it's comfy, so around here, and you need to kind of pull it tight and see where it's comfy. It's normally anywhere from 2/3 of your waist measurement to 3/4 of your waist measurement. Ish, it's all ish. The best thing to do is to pull it round and then kind of safety pin it together and wear it for a little while, see how comfy it is. And then you want to cut 3 of those. If I were you, I'd take your comfy measurement, add 1 inch or 2, and then just cut it that way. So you've got 3 strips of elastic that will comfortably, and I mean comfortably, go around your waist. So I indeed have 3 of them. Here they are. 3 strips. And I'm going to thread them through. Now you need to start with the top one. I'm going to thread a little bit through. I'm going to get Jeremy to come right in and see how I'm doing it because it's going to look a little bit strange. So what you do is this, you go up through this opening here. See how we've cunningly left these open? Oh yes, we're not silly. And then you go through the top one. Now, Jeremy, I wonder if you can come in close to me here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but here is the safety pin. See that there? That's the safety pin. I'm just pushing it through, and as I'm pushing it through, I'm kind of pulling the waistband around as I go, and this is what you're going to get. You can get that gathered part there. So I'm going to do that all the way around on this one and the other two, and you'll see what it looks like when it's done. So now I've fiddled around with the waistband for a few moments, I will show you what I've got. You can see here the front looks perfectly nice, it's all elasticated, lovely, lovely. The back looks terrible for the moment, that's okay. We've all got all these kind of safety pins and bits of elastic hanging out. That's all right, that all comes out through this section here that we haven't sewn across here, all perfectly all right. Now, I would normally say when you get to this stage, you can just continue, seal off your elastic, seal off your stitch lines here and add the waistband. But I actually wouldn't do that because it all depends on how you like to wear your pants. You might want to wear them on the waist, below the waist, whatever. So what I'm going to suggest you do, and this is what I did when I made mine, I sewed the waistband on, this edge here onto the top edge of the pants, but I left open those last 2 inches there at the centre back, and then I tried the pants on and I kind of wore them around for like 20 minutes just to make sure. I had to adjust my elastic and then I took it off and finished the elastic. So I'm going to put this on, I'm going to show you then, I'm going to get Jeremy to come in and see how it looks when you actually finish off your elastic. So now I've attached the waistband and this is it attached. Obviously it's not pressed and finished, but it is attached. Now it looks pretty cool at the moment at the front. It looks dreadful at the back. That's all okay. The thing to bear in mind is that when you sew the waistband on, you're really going to be stitching along the seam line, along the stitch line.
Give it a little higher for us, please.
Sure, up there.
Yeah.
That's the bottom stitch line of the elasticated waistband, and that's the line you'll stitch along. Baste it or pin it first if you need to, it's really not a problem. Okay, now I'm going to get Jeremy to zoom in. I'm going to show you how I'm going to finish off each piece of elastic. Okay, this is the back piece. Looks kind of messy at the moment, won't do when it's done. Here's what you do. You start with the top one. Okay, that's been pinned together. These are the correct lengths. So I'm going to sew this together like this and then flatten it out like that. I'm going to do that, pop it inside and then sew along the bottom of the that line of casing. I'll show you what I mean, and then I'm going to repeat it through the other two. So I've sealed it in, you see what I mean? I've sealed it, I've started there, finished there, sealed it all in. So that's the top one done, and I'm going to repeat that on the second and the third ones. Once I've done that, I just complete that last piece there, and then I'm going to clean off the waistband edge, and I will show you what it looks like when it's done. So now we do a big ta-da, because the waistband's done. There it is, nice and elasticated and stretchy. What I actually did at the back, when I sealed it all up, was I did a row of stitch in the ditch, through the centre back seam like this, just to hold the elastic where I put it, and I made sure that nothing was twisting. As you can see, it's nice and flat like this. Now this is basically the bulk of the pant made. All we've got to do is the hem. I'm going to show you how to do the turn-ups, or you might want to call them cuffs, but really if you want to just do a plain hem you can, but the whole thing that makes this into kind of a tailored track pant is the cuff. So we're going to do that. That's our next thing, that's our last thing, and then we are done. And now we come to the final part of our lovely tailored track pants. We need to do the hem, and the pattern as drafted has a cuff. You can of course just do a normal hem. As I said before, if you want to do it in a t-shirt or a knit type fabric, you can just roll the hem. But if you want to cuff, here is how you're going to do it. Now this is what we want to achieve. That is our cuff when it's done. And how you start it is just like a normal hem. Okay, on the inside there. There it is, and I've stitched through it with machine stitches because it honestly doesn't matter, you're not going to see it. Once you've done that, you're going to press it and get a really nice crisp edge on there, and then you're going to fold it, and it's very, very simple. All you need to do is fold it so that this stays inside. So give it, oh, I'm going to say that much. Okay, so that's on the inside, that is how it looks on the outside. All you have to make sure you do is that both legs match. Okay, that's really kind of key, both legs need to match. Once you've done that, you pin it and press it, and then I'm going to show you the hand stitching you need to do that will finish it. Okay, well lucky you, you get to see now some hand stitching, and it has to be said, I'm not a huge fan of hand stitching for constructing a garment, but in this case we have really no choice. We're not in a sample room or a production facility where we'd have a blind hemmer, so we have to do it by hand. And I'm using this enormous needle so that you can actually see what I'm doing, but I will get Jeremy to come in now and have a look. Okay, needle goes in, it goes in not to the outside fabric here, it goes into that fabric, the actual inside of the cuff, like that, and you just do your normal hem stitch like that, making sure all the while it's not too tight and that we don't get any nasty little dots of your thread coming through to the opposite side. When you've done that, you will get your cuff like this holding up really nicely. So there you have it. We have completed our lovely Fast and Fabulous Tailored Track Pants. As you can see, really easy to put together, really simple even for beginner sewers. So don't be intimidated if this is the first time you've done a pant. Don't be intimidated. It's very, very simple and you will get a really, really beautiful result. So all you have to remember is this: nice fluid drapey fabric, cut it out nice and carefully, take your time, perfection.